Hello and welcome to my Frederica Advanced Guide. So in this guide we're going to be going over some specific strategies you can use with Frederica. My throat was dry, sorry. On how to kill enemies, use her effectively, where she wants to be positionally, and some combos that are pretty practical and some like units that she likes to be in the same party with. So let's start with items for Frederica. Speed items are really good on her because generally she wants to spam Sunfall, and you're going to want batteries to do this, and you're going to want crowd control. So you want two things. You want crowd control to hold enemies in place, and you want batteries and turn accelerators to be able to get up to 5 TP to use Sunfall for maximum effect. Sunfall does deal really good damage, and if you just run speed bracelets, you're increasing her turn order, you're decreasing the turns in between Sunfalls, and as long as your utilities are slightly faster than her, they can always be ahead of her, so that when she starts casting Sunfall, you will turn accelerate her, and you can do it immediately. So that, and then also you want your batteries to go like after her. So in this case, you can see here the turn order. My turn accelerators go before her, and if we look at their speed, we have 31 speed on Julio, 28 speed on Benedict. So what we will actually do is we will switch. We'll take the speed bracelet off of Julio and give it to Benedict. And the reason for this is we want to have Benedict be faster than Frederica, or at least on the same speed, so that as long as he starts before her, he'll always be ahead of her. And we want Julio to be after her, so that he can inherit her, use Inheritor on her to give her all of her TP back. So let's do that. Alright, now let's check the turn order. Alright, so Benedict, so here's the order you want. You want Benedict and Medina for turn acceleration, and then Medina can also battery. You want them to be first, so that after Frederica starts Sunfall, she can get turn accelerated. And then you want Julio after her, so that after Sunfall activates, you can give her 5 TP to do it again. So let's get started. So for good items, like speed items are good on her. You can use movement bangle on her if you find that her 4 move is too annoying to play around. Defensive items are okay, and magical damage increase is okay. You don't have to use Sunfall. Like, you can use Pillar of Fire, or Pillars of Fire, or Pillars of Flame, I think is what it's called. That can be good damage. You can use Scorch. Blazing Chains is pretty good as well. But Sunfall is like her big AoE, so it depends on the circumstances. If there's like a massive group of enemies, then Sunfall is generally the best thing to do. But if there's not, then it's not. So, just depends on what's going on. She can kind of hit things as needed. You know, she can do quite a bit. So she can increase her AoE as needed, and if you want to set up Sunfalls, you can. You don't have to, though. That's not her only use case. So one thing we can do with Benedict is we can Dragon Shield, which is really standard. Alternatively, let's see. Like, there's no reason to turn accelerate someone or twofold turn right now because we're still waiting for them to approach. So I guess I'll Dragon Shield, and then he'll move here. Actually, no, he'll stay here. Yeah, we'll do this. All right, and then we'll have Medina. She will double items, and she'll just do this. Oops. Just do this.
Here you go. Here you go. Keep fighting.
So now Benedict can use now. If we have Medina wait, it doesn't decrease her turn order, so we might as well reposition her. Alright, so these guys are going to start advancing. That's fine. That's what we want them to do. Alright, and then Frederica. Alright, so one thing we want to do is we want to plan the Sunfall. So we know these enemies are going to be pushing in, so we want to check like their movement. So these guys can move up to, like, this guy can move up to here. This guy can move up to here. So if I put Eridor here, they should all approach him there. So I'm going to show something kind of neat. So Eridor is going to be standing basically right here. So what we want to do is we want to Sunfall here. This is where he's going to be standing. So you have to take like a mental note of that when using this type of setup. And then Julio, we'll just give him extra TP. And then run back. Alright, these guys are going to start coming in. Okay, so they're... Alright, so the Sunfall should be getting cast here. These guys are already here, and if we look at the turn order, these two are already guaranteed to be hit by Sunfall, so that's already massive. One thing we can do, though, is we can King Shield this, or even just provoke these. Yeah, let's do this. Let's provoke these. Alright, we got one of them. That's okay. It could be worse. We got one of them. Alright, we're letting them come to us. So far, we have 2 guaranteed hits of the Sunfall, so that's going to be massive damage on them. Can't go wrong with it. I can have Milo come up here, because these probably aren't going to move up too much, but one thing I can do with her, I'll just have her retreat for now. Alright, and then for Benedict, what I can do is I can 2-fold turn Eridor, and then in tandem him. So you'll see why, or maybe not. He's like just at the range. Benedict could be in some danger here, so I have to be kind of careful. I'll in tandem Eridor for now. And you'll see why. We'll in tandem him. Now I can get the Sunfall to go off right now, but I want more enemies to move, so Benedict might as well just retreat here. And then Eridor will use King Shield, which will guarantee to aggro all of this. And then he'll run this way. So turn 9 is when turn 8 now is when Sunfall occurs. So Mage will hit Eridor. So we'll just move here. He's gonna tank some magic, which is fine. We might as well have Medina hop over here, double items. So this is a lot of setup to get a Sunfall off to some degree, but when it does go off correctly, it does an insane amount of damage, and will put most of the enemies at like below half from a single use, which is quite insane. Alright, so Furies have ended. Sunfall is going off. An enemy should move up. Potentially, so we'll see. Alright, I think that guy's potentially in range. He might not be, though. Or no, he should be out of range, actually. Yeah, that one's now in range. Alright, here's Sunfall. Alright, hit 4 of them. That's pretty decent. They're starting to ball up around Eridor. I was hoping that guy would get in. He would have got hit by it too, but... Alright, now there's more in range of Eridor. And one thing we can do, now that we have Milo, is she can just do this. She can just kind of... Power of Love some of these to keep them fighting each other. So let's see. He should just smack one of them. Yeah, so he's still in range of a future Sunfall. She's about to have a turn. Medina can double items. Julio can inherit her for 2. 2-fold turning here doesn't do anything, so it like literally does nothing, so it's not worth it. However, 2-fold turning Eridor could be good because he has a pretty low proc rate. Like it's like 80% in this case, which is decent, but he can get a good, you know, Fury spam off, so we'll have him do that. Alright, so that's a huge line of enemies. Alright, so here's what we want. We want all these, we want as many things around us as humanly possible, so that when Sunfall goes off, they all die. And then we can have Julio use, in this case, finish them makes the most sense, because she'll generate 1 TP. And then she'll actually rotate down this way. She can Sunfall here. So some of these should start to move up. This will definitely kill all the enemies around Eridor. These tempted and furied enemies. Okay, they're like killing each other. Alright, Milo might as well kill this guy, because he's just gonna... Maybe not. Let's see. You usually want Fury. You want them to be, like, running into range. She'll just chill out, I guess. Alright, they're starting to move up. Okay, that guy's moved up. That guy's in range. You want as many things in range as possible. Okay, so we have 7 more turns. Eridor can get another Fury off, so that is good. He is immobilized currently, which is annoying. That isn't, like, honestly, but... what we can do, we'll 2-fold turn. We're going to be a little bit creative here. We'll 2-fold turn him. So he is the epicenter of the AoE, so we'll use Restore on him. I believe we want to do that. Yeah, restore him. That gets rid of his immobilize. And then what Medina can do... She can just... Well, actually, let's do this. Double items. So we don't want a fast-acting medication yet, because what we want to do is get more enemies in the ball. So hopefully we are able to do that. I think we actually won't be able to. I think it'll just be like the 2. But what we do want to do is get as many things in here for future turns, so sometimes the turn order doesn't really work in your favor. Sometimes it does. So let's do this. We'll have him double Fury, I guess. Alright, then act again. So 2 things will get hit by Sunfall in this case. A lot of these are mages, so they're not going to really... Okay, we got 3. Okay, that was better. At least we hit 3 things. As long as you hit 3 things, I would say it's worth it, because it does like such high damage. And then we just have to get Eridor back. Or even just Sunfall. Like, as long as he just maintains Fury over there, it's completely fine. So, let's see. Alright, Benedict. You could kill this, I guess. But you get the idea. Like, you can see that, like, Sunfall is pretty good. Does some good damage. And then if you don't want to, like, use Sunfall, you can just do stuff like this. Like, you can just have her nuke in general. So here's what that would look like. Just like something like killing things, you know, with basic AoE. In this case. This is more readily available and easier to consistently do. It can be hard to Sunfall things that aren't melee units. If it's melee units, they're extremely easy to Sunfall. If it's non-melee units, you have to Fury them and then get them to crowd around Eridor. And that's generally the way you have to do it. You can see there she's very vulnerable to damage, like physical damage. And I think this guy... Okay, he doesn't have... Yeah. Okay, she's dead now. So it can be a lot of effort to get Sunfall set up, and you can kind of see that it's like... It's clearly not as good as Glacial Moon, but if you combine it with stuff like Glacial Moon, you can get off, you know, a big Sunfall into a Glacial Moon and kill a ton of enemies. It's just that it requires more setup than just Glacial Moon. I don't mind showing Frederica dying there because it just like highlights how vulnerable she is to getting killed when out of position. So I think it's useful to show. Okay, so we have the Sunfall. Sunfalling and balling up. It's a lot of work. It can be worth it. If it's mostly enemy melee units, it's better. But you can see here they have like... honestly, this is a horrible map to show this because they have an abnormal amount of archers and mages. Like here's 2 mages, here's 2 archers, here's a healer, here's 2 more healers. Like there's only 3 melee units in this initial wave. So getting everything to surround Eridor is much more challenging because archers, even when Furied, will usually be a few tiles away. Mages, you know, they're not going to be next to things, so he has to go out of his way to Fury them. So it can be harder for him to even get them to be around him. So one thing I could do is I could like light wave Eridor in over here, King Shield these. These will naturally attack him because he's the only target. And then we could like have Frederica run over here and Sunfall, but it would require like, you know, her to be starting like here. We light wave Eridor from here. She moves 1, 2, 3, 4, range of 1, 2, or it's a range of 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We cast it here. Eridor hits them here. These 2 are here and here. She should be able to hit most of them. Or maybe she even like catches a buff from Benedict and then gets fast-acting medication from Medina. That could be a thing. So you can get pretty advanced and intricate with like these Sunfall setups. And it does deal a lot of damage. It usually deals over 50% of enemies' health and everything in the radius. But it's harder to use than Glacial Moon. But it's generally way more damaging. So that's attacking balled up enemies. That's like... For the positioning, obviously she needs to be far back. She needs to be protected. She needs damage mitigation put on her if she's going to be getting hit by more than 2 things, as you saw there. Like just an archer and an enemy melee unit can kill her really rapidly. So she is very squishy. That is the big downside of most mages. So, you know, Nara, Vizana, Frederica, Corinton, all of these units can rapidly die. An easy way to deal with this is just to run Flanagan. And then Flanagan just uses ramparts and stands near them the whole time. And then, like, Serenoa is forced on most maps. So you can run Serenoa and you have him shielding stance Flanagan so that everyone's tanky. Flanagan's weakness is magic, so that's why you bring Serenoa to tank him while he tanks everyone else. Alright, so we have Sun Falling and Turn Accelerator. The other thing, too, is, like, if you're on a defensive map with a lot of enemy melee units, it's much easier to set up Sunfalls. You just have to have a single tank just out there for things to attack, and they'll naturally surround him even without Fury. In this case, in this map, all of these enemies are, like, annoying enemies that are ranged. This is more ranged units than you'll encounter on average, because that's, like, 4 mages and 2 archers and then 3 melee. That's abnormal. It's usually the opposite. There's usually very few archers and mages. So the Sunfall, like, Frederica tends to do best against balled up enemies for Sunfall spam, whereas Corinton can just nuke things, like, as he goes and is, you know, more flexible. So, okay, the other thing, some other things to note about Frederica. Pillars of Fire can actually be good. It can be hard to line up, though. It hits up to 5 tiles, and it's horizontal. It also can allow you to reach weird angles. So, like, just, like, start this mission just to show it. So we'll just use, we'll start using her other abilities, because Sunfall is definitely, like, the sexiest ability, but it's hardest to use and hardest to set up. So we'll start going over her, like, just using something every turn sort of situation. Alright, so here we have Milo, that's great. Alright, so one thing you could do with her is, just like with most characters, twofold turn is pretty good. So what you can do with any mage in twofold turn is this. So I'm going to give her a battery. Very simple stuff. So the reason twofold turn is generally good is because you can have something put itself in danger and then also have it come back. So she can push up far enough to cast and then also retreat. So in this case, because she can act again, she can move in and then move back here afterwards and only be able to get hit by one thing. So let's actually just show that. So you rush in, cast on these for some damage, cast on these for some damage, and then you rush out. This is easier to set up than the Sunfall, but obviously if you Sunfall correctly and like the enemies are approaching you anyways and you know that they're going to ball up around Eridor because he's the only thing they can hit and then he king shields, you can guarantee like nuking of a ton of targets at once for big burst damage, which can be good. So, and then like Julio is good to have because he can just straight up reset her entire bar, like so. If you don't want to do that, you can always use Finish Them so that he doesn't lose all of his TP. So now when it's her turn, she'll have 4 TP. And then we can have Eridor coming in here. So he doesn't, like, he should Fury, but he doesn't need to in some cases if he's positioned well. In this case, like, he's close to everyone, so it's not going to be the best thing. So he might as well Fury these. And he'll be a Lightning Rod. Actually, these are going to die, so that was kind of pointless. They're going to just get nuked by Frederica this turn, basically. I can nuke something else, though, too. I'm going to show her other abilities really quick, just to kind of go over them. Like how they can be useful. So Milo, she might as well do this. Let's get some magic on our team, hopefully. Alright, cool. These are like slightly underleveled enemies, so. Alright, so she's about to go. So we can twofold turn her again. Just to kind of show this, just for fun. And then Medina can do standard Medina stuff. The big upside of Medina and Benedict is that they can just keep twofold turning things and just spamming like TP battery on everyone. So like as long as Medina gets hit by her own twofold turn spam, she'll be able to cast a lot. Okay, so let's show pillars. All right, so we got some enemies. So you can see here, here's the range of it. It kind of works like this. So it can help her hit weird spots. Like you can see here, I'm able to hit like a little bit further than I'd normally be able to. So like with Scorch, the furthest I can hit is like here. Like you can see like a tile here and a tile here. And then with Pillars, I'm able to hit here. So you can hit like slightly weird angles, so it's useful to know. And then if you twofold turn, in this case, I can do something like this. So I can hit these for some pretty decent damage. And then, for example, I could Scorch them like this, killing one of them, and then retreat. So twofold turn is good on mages, and it's good in general. It's just a decent ability. But you can see here, like, she's slightly out of position, and a single enemy hitting her basically marks her for death. This enemy isn't even level 50. Like, if he was, his stats would be a little bit better, not by much, but just the fact that this is how squishy mages are. Like, they need like a Flanagan near them to tank, and they need other units in the way. Like, she doesn't want to be this far out. She's right now, her positioning, like, she should be like here, and Eridor should be like here, and there should be like some units in between her and the enemy. So this is actually a pretty dangerous map for her. So I don't mind showing her getting whacked, because it's, you know, the realities of running a mage. They can just randomly get killed really fast, so you have to be really careful about that. That's why I mentioned it in the one video too, the 5 tips video for like beginners, because, you know, there are like some prevailing thoughts or like prevailing notions or whatever that like mages are like objectively the best thing in the game, and they can be one of the best things in the game for sure. But if you don't know how to manage their positioning or put tank on them or keep them out of harm's way, they can be a huge liability. So like, they're definitely harder to use than most units, but when you do understand how to use them, they're very good. So let's have her catch a heal. She can still get one shot by another melee unit, so even though she's catching a heal here, it's not as like high impact as you'd think. Yeah, like look at that. She's just taking massive amounts of damage. This guy can kill her right here. Yep. So you have to be really careful with your mage positioning. They can die very easily. So aside from setting up Sunfalls, which I just showed, attacking balled up enemies, there are other things that she can do, but the basic use case for her is just dealing damage. One other thing that's useful, and I'll show this really quick before we wrap it up, is putting Flame Shield on Eridor as he Furies enemies. The reason this is useful is it allows him to deal basically double damage on counterattacks. He'll deal like 40 to 60 damage with his shield, and then 40 to 60 with the Flame Shield. So we'll just pass a turn. Benedict, we'll just like try to speed this up, so I don't want it to go over 30 minutes. Alright, so Flame Shield, Eridor, and then she'll just run away. Honestly, her positioning on this map, like, most of these units kind of want to be, like, back here. They want to be, like, in this sort of area. Like, Medina's a little bit more durable. Frederica wants to be quite far back. And if she's Sunfalling, that gives her effectively 8 range. She has 0 to 6, and then she can also, like, it hits up to 2 tiles away from the center, so it hits a little bit further than you'd think. So let's do this. Inherit her. I didn't need to do that, but whatever. I could have just used finish them. Alright, we're gonna get this going. And you can see he doesn't counterattack unless things are next to him. Alright, let's do this. He's gonna get nuked, but it's fine. He'll King Shield here. I just want to show them taking the extra damage from the counterattacks. Alright, a lot of movement. We have enemy movement in line. Alright, and she might as well do this. I don't care if she dies, this will just be fun to do. Just power bomb all these. Alright, and then Benedict. So Benedict is good with Frederica, and so is Flanagan, because Dragon Shield gives you an extra hit of durability on your like really vulnerable backliners. Alright, so let's do this. Let's try to get the Wombo combo off. You can always in tandem a Sunfall too. So if there's ever like a good opportunity to use Sunfall, using in tandem is never a bad idea. Alright, Medina. She can just do this, give him some more TP.
I see right through you.
Strike while the iron's hot.
He can damage boost Frederica.
We can do this.
She's already at max TP, but he might as well just give her damage boost. Alright, let's see if this guy moves in. Nice, he moves in. Yeah, mages, for whatever reason, they like to set up fall-off attacks. So, like, even though they'll cast a spell on you, a lot of times they will close in. So you can see here, all of these are in range now. And these dudes are just, like, comically whacking each other. Stupidly. Spear enemies, even when feared, sometimes will move away and stab you, so they won't get counterattacked. Alright, but in this situation, what Eridor can do is provoke these. So now they're guaranteed to be next to him. And then his flame shield ended, so we didn't really get the biggest value out of it. I'm gonna let Milo die in this case. Let's check turn order. Alright, so turn 3. So there's no reason to turn accelerate because those are all furied anyways.
I'll do my utmost.
And yeah, we can just chill out and watch the sun fall.
Flames consume you.
Cool. That was a thing we did. That was nice. So yeah, she can put... So if Eridor has a bunch of melee around him, he can deal basically double damage with Flame Shield. She can always nuke them with Scorch afterwards. Like as he's dealing chip damage, she can clean up with Scorch. She can get a Sunfall set up. With Speed Build, she can cast Sunfall quickly. You can see here you don't need a turn accelerator to Sunfall. So there is an argument for and against Sunfall. The argument for Sunfall versus Glacial Moon is that it does deal more damage than it. The magnitude is over double. Like it's I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that. Let's let's check that. Sunfall at 525 damage. Okay, now let's retreat and grab Corinton. So 525 magnitude. I'm pretty sure I tested it against like enemies, and as long as they don't have weaknesses, I'm pretty sure it's like a little bit less than half the damage. Alright, unit placement. Let's make sure Corinton doesn't have any magic increases, because currently Frederica doesn't either. He should be down here. Okay, he has one, so let's remove it. Alright, let's just start. Let's move him up so we don't have to scroll all the way down here. So there's definitely damage compression. And we can test it against some enemies too, so we can see what it hits. Even because like sometimes the damage values are misleading. Because it's better to actually see what it hits on actual enemies than just like assume things. Alright, let's see. Sunfall 525, 277. Let's see. Let's make sure it's still the same. 509. Okay, so it is, in terms of raw magnitude, it isn't double the damage, but it's like basically equivalent to like 1.8 Glacial Moons, which is still a lot of burst damage. And like someone pointed out in my YouTube comments, why not just use both? So like if you have like Picoletta decoys enemies are surrounding around, or Eridor enemies are surrounding around, and you have a Sunfall go off and then a Glacial Moon go off right after that, that'll kill most things. Or put everything in that group at like, I don't know, 10%, 20% HP. So combining Sunfall with Corinton can be useful. And also another thing that can be good with it is Corinton can make ice walls. So like, it's Benedict. I thought Corinton was alive. Let's do this. He can make an ice ball which can ball up enemies as well. They'll attack it and it slows them down. So in this case, this would be suicidal to do. There's too many things close to him, but he can make an ice wall completely walling these off. And then if you Sunfall like here, these dudes will move. They'll move up and ball up around here. So that could be good as well. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then of course, if you want to do this, you can always... I'll show like a quick Sunfall just for the hell of it. We'll double items here. We'll just use it on Frederica.
Here you go.
So the easiest way to get a Sunfall off in general, so let's see, these guys all move up. I was hoping they would stay, I would be able to go before them, but alright, so if you want to just get like a quick Sunfall off, you just in tandem Frederica. Like, doesn't matter whose turn it is, as long as you have in tandem, it's happening. So it can be a good way of getting some big damage off rapidly. And then what we can do here, you probably already see what I'm setting up. It's a Glacial Moon right after it. Alright, Sunfall, you know, pretty big damage. She's going to take some damage. That hits a 0 because they're all, that is an ice spell, so that's nice. Titan defenses. Yeah, you can see they're like balled up there. Eridor can come up here and provoke. So strangely, this strategy wasn't very suicidal because it looks like we're going to be kind of okay. I'm running like... Okay, she died. That's funny. Alright, we get the idea. Obviously, there are 2 mages there. She had no tank on her. She was doomed. Yeah, but that's like Sunfall versus Glacial Moon. Glacial Moon's more flexible, easier to pull off each turn. TP on ice is generally, like, Crinton's like on average better damage, and he has more utility, but Frederica can be good extra like nuke. It's just that her nuke is on a timer, and you can in tandem or turn accelerate it, or just rely on, you know, aggro, enemies balling up around things, simple stuff like that. Let's try like that hyper-aggressive strategy really quick, where I light wave Eridor in and then he king shields. This might be horrible. It might be a stupid strategy, but we'll try it. Maybe not king shield, maybe twofold turn double heroic. Maybe that's the move. Alright, so Benedict moves first. Twofold turn Eridor. This is going to be like a very specific thing I'm doing here. We will fast acting medication him, I think. Maybe we double items. Yeah, let's fast acting medication him. No, let's do this. Let's do this. We will in tandem Eridor. The only person who really needs battery are these two in here. We're not really caring about Crinton here. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I meant to do this. It's better. Alright, cool. Alright, and then what we wanted to do was this. So he has twofold turn. So what we're hoping, this is really what I'm hoping, is that this hits. They'll surround him either way. Alright, and then the other thing we want is for this to hit. Okay, and then we move way up here. Why do we move way up here? We're bringing these enemies back. So we're sending Eridor out to bring back a bunch of enemies for Frederica, or anyone really, to nuke. So in this case, one archer can hit her. This is much safer than what I did before. Very likely, they will try to surround him, so I'll cast it here. I probably should have cast it at 1 square down, but we should be fine. And then we can have Julio, Moment of Truth, Corentin. Glacial Moon's also cheaper, so that's like... well, alright, you can cast Sunfall for 4, but it's going to deal less damage. Alright, so here we go. They're putting chip damage on themselves, they're surrounding him. We're going to try to do the Wombo combo on these boys. And it should be pretty easy to pull off, because you can see Benedict's turn orders coming up, so we can now Frederica. Yeah, this is going to be the Wombo combo. This is the moment of truth. Alright, here we got a Glacial Moon. Alright, so let's check the damage on... Alright, those are resistant, so let's check it on the spear guy. 154. Okay, 154 on the spear guy, so we just have to remember that. Because I want to see what Sunfall hits on the spear guy. Alright, and then now... Alright, 154. 276. Okay. So, yeah, so it's like 80%. Or it's like 1.8 times the damage. But you can see here, like, between the two of them, if there were more enemies in here, like, 2 of these died straight up, and then this one is at, like, 4 health, and then this one's at 70 health. So, do not underestimate that combo. It's extremely powerful. It takes some setup, but you can see here I was able to set it up pretty easily just off of provoke. So yeah, pretty fun unit. Pretty good overall. Has some neat things she can do. The other thing that I want to mention is that Blazing Chains reduces enemy movement by 1 for 3 turns. I'm pretty sure this affects every boss. Most bosses Like, not very few things are immune to debuffs. Most things are immune to status effects. Completely different thing. Debuffs affect stats. Status effects are like, poison, paralyze, tempt, fury, stuff like this. So she can use blazing chains to reduce enemy boss movement, which basically allows your team to kite them better. And if you're using someone like Jens, who can spring trap bosses away 5 tiles, if she reduces their move from 5 to 4, they'll waste 2 turns to keep getting spring trapped. So even if they go twice, they'll be guaranteed to waste turns. Now Jens by himself can waste turns anyways, but this is just an example. Reducing enemy movement is useful in a lot of situations and can allow Frederica to escape because she does have 4 move. So yeah, so that's my Frederica Advanced Guide. Overall, I would say she's a pretty fun unit to use. Setting up Sunfall is satisfying because it does so much damage. It's not as easy to use as Glacial Moon, but it can be just as strong. You just have to set it up correctly. The big difference is you have to turn accelerate her or just have enemies crowd around something. And she can cast it quite far. Same thing with Crinton. So it can be good. But yeah, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this, definitely like and subscribe. Thank you for checking this out, and see ya.